Tetris Attack is a great puzzle game. In my opinion, it's up there with Tetris as one of the greatest puzzle games ever created. Despite the name though, Tetris Attack bears little to no resemblance to Tetris whatsoever. Originally released as Panel de Pont in Japan, it was simply rebranded with both the Tetris name and the familiar characters from Yoshi's Island. For me, that's a 1-2 punch of cheap marketing. This associates the game with not one, but two properties that it has absolutely nothing to do with. For the North American market, I can understand having to rebrand it, as the original graphics in Panel de Pont are a bit girly. Not that there's anything wrong with that, unless you're looking to appeal to a larger market and sell more games. But using the Tetris name just feels shady to me. Hank Rogers, one of the owners of the Tetris company, had this to say about licensing the Tetris name. I reluctantly agreed. In retrospect, we should never have done that. I don't think that's a good idea. It dilutes the brand. It's like naming another cartoon character Mickey Mouse just because you need the money. It's just a bad idea. So I wouldn't do that again. So they slapped the Tetris name on it and put Yoshi graphics in it. What's really interesting to me is that the North American cover doesn't have Yoshi anywhere on it at all. Like, nowhere. Just this crazy block guy. Maybe they were looking to avoid brand confusion with other Yoshi games, in particular Yoshi's Cookie, which is another puzzle game. Or maybe someone in the Nintendo marketing department realized it was just a bridge too far to put both Tetris and Yoshi on the same cover. Now that we've got all that covered, let's take a look at the game. There are 6 different boards to choose from. The only difference between them are the background graphics and the music. The gameplay is exactly the same. You can choose Yoshi, Lakitu, is that how you say it? Lakitu, Poochie, Frog Pirate, yeah, I looked that up, it's Frog Pirate. A red blarg, which makes the game look like something out of Dante's Inferno. And lastly, this purple duck thing with Shy Guys. I couldn't find his name anywhere, so he's Purple Duck. The game is simple enough that anyone can pick it up and start playing it right away, but difficult enough that it takes a lot to master it. You have to line up 3 or more of the same kind of tiles, and those tiles disappear, clearing more room on the board. I've been playing this game like crack for the last 3 weeks, and I tap out around speed level 30 on normal difficulty. There are combos and chains that I just haven't mastered yet that keep me from progressing further in the game. Nintendo Power Magazine, Volume 87, has a good article on the game with some strategies for advancing further. It's all about the chains and skill chains. There's also a puzzle mode where you have a limited number of moves to clear the board, but I don't care for this mode very much. And there's also a 2-player mode. There is also an OG Game Boy version, which is pretty cool. It ended up hurting my eyes after a while, and it seemed like it was easier, although I ended up tapping out at around the same level as I do on the Super Nintendo version. This isn't a version of the game I'll be coming back to, though. It doesn't hold up against the Super Nintendo version. The game was later rebranded again for the Nintendo 64 as Pokemon Puzzle League. Can you imagine being a kid who's really into Pokemon and getting this game that has nothing to do with Pokemon at all other than slapping the graphics on it? I'd be pissed. It'd be like a kid wanting a copy of Kung Fu Panda and getting Chopkick Panda instead. Or if a kid wanted Fruit Loops and got Fruitios. Well, maybe that's not quite the same, but I think you get my point. The N64 Pokemon version starts off with a cool little animated intro. So, picture this, I'm a kid, I get this game, it's got cool Pokemon graphics on the cover, and I'm excited. I put the game in, it plays a cool little intro, and now I'm really excited. Then I get to the menu screen, and it looks like there's lots of stuff to do. Then you play the game, and that's when the reality hits that you've been conned. Overall, the branding is very polished on this, much more so than the Yoshi branding on the Super Nintendo version. The gameplay is much smoother too. The tiles move like butter, but for some reason, it's not the same game. It's just not fun. I think it's that the game feels like it's going to be something more than it ends up being. The animated intro and Pokemon branding set some level of expectation that it's completely let down by it just being a puzzle game. The repetitive clicking sound made when you move a tile sounds like a typewriter, and in an annoying way. And Ash constantly saying, "Way to go!" over and over again. It's just a little too encouraging and annoying. Like, I got this, Ash. Calm down. Stop being a helicopter parent here. There's also this wonky 3D version that is just whack. It's really difficult to tell what the hell's going on here, and I don't feel compelled to play the 2D or 3D versions of this port at all. So that's it. That's our first video, and that's our look into all things Tetris Yoshi vs. Pokemon Attack Puzzle League.